Hi, welcome to another edition of Resonate with Edgehill and Davis. I'm Owen Edgehill.
And I am David Davis.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Long
I'm
time
good.
no see.
I'm good.
Long time no see.
Been hectic, but I'm good.
You good?
Yeah. It's been, yeah. It's been a while. It feels like it's been a while.
You mean us being in the studio been a while, or
Yeah,
you
it
just
feels like
it does. Yeah, it does. But you know,
But
things happen.
We're here.
And we're here.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. So all's well.
All's well. It's like, listen, I mean, people may think that we've got a great life and everything's hunky-dory all the time. It's not.
Life's like that, isn't
But
it?
it's how you kind of have this mindset in your mind, because we can walk around feeling miserable, feeling sorry for ourselves. We can.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's probably good.
What, feeling sorry for yourself?
For a short, sometimes it makes you kind of think, well, hang on a minute. If something bad kind of happens,
Right.
and for a short period of time you go, oh, why was that? Be in that moment, and then treat it as just a moment. Because if you stay in that moment,
Right.
that's when it becomes a depression. That's when it becomes depressed. Especially when you start staying in that moment for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4. Bad things happen.
Right.
But it's just a moment. It's that.
Yeah.
Spend that time in that moment enough to go, listen, let's move on now. I think because we're humans, we're not perfect. We're wired to kind of have an element of depression, aren't we? We're wired to have an element of sadness and sorrow. That's why, and it's good to be in that element, because without that, you're not going to know what happiness and gratitude is. But don't stay in those sad moments.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to say, basically.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
Do you agree?
Easier said than done.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Easier said than done.
Do you, the viewers, agree? Make a comment. Put a comment in the, afterwards. Put a comment down.
That'd be nice.
Let us know.
That'd be nice. Right, I want to get your views on something that I must admit has been bugging me for quite a while, and I've not realised that it's been bugging me for quite a while until it came up.
Bugging is a strong word, isn't it?
Very strong word, yeah. I want to get your views on, everybody's views on woke.
Whoa.
W-O-K-E.
Whoa.
I want to get your views on it. I want to get your views on it. And the reason why I want to get your views, everyone's views, not just yours, D, everyone's, is because it's not sitting right with me. It's not sitting right with me. Now, the term woke was derived from the States around it's not so much the Black Lives Matter thing, but it was around equality and diversity and that, and they came up with that phrase, right? And then it seems that this country's adopted it, not just for people of colour, but also people of disability as well, right? So the concept of it, I understand, but the reality of it, I feel uncomfortable with it.
Okay.
Right? I'll give you a couple of examples.
Yeah, please.
Wherever I go these days, there are either a person who looks like us, same colour as us, or they might be brown, yellow, right? But there are people of the minorities, as they say, right? And recently, Dee and everyone, whether I've been in a shop, I've been on the phone to someone, or I've been in connection with someone about something, I've looked at that individual, not in ego, but just in awareness, and looked at that individual and thought to myself, have you really got this job on merit? Or have you got this job because it's pretty cool to invoke this word woke these days, right? And I must admit, I found myself on a lot of occasions thinking, You're not in this position on merit. You're in this position because of your colour, or because you've disability, right? Mm-hmm. It's just my opinion. And so I started to think about it a bit hard over the last couple of days, and I really have come to the conclusion that I think it's a farce. I think it's farcical. I think it's farcical in the sense that to put somebody in a position, whether it's a job or whatever, just because they're a coloured, black, brown, yellow, whatever it is,
or white,
right? And it's not about the fact that they've gone through that interview process, the qualifications have matched up with everything. Mm-hmm. It's in most cases it's not about that these days. I feel it's more about, let's just fill in this quota. Let's just get this particular person working in this particular department or this environment to fill this quota. So at least then we can turn around and say we're doing our bit.
Because that's what we're supposed to do
right.
to match the kind of world of what we live in, this woke world that we live in.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And as a result, more and more often, when I see it, it just makes me feel uncomfortable. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't get a job or people shouldn't get into a position of positivity, whether it's in work or whatever the situation is. Well, I'll give you an example. There are a lot of TV programs, sports TV programs, where it's like, spot the white man, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm finding myself looking at it and thinking, wow. But also I'm looking at the people who are on these programs, I'm thinking, but you're not that good. But you're not that good. Mm-hmm. Now again, I'm not saying this with ego as in I could do better, because I couldn't. But I'm saying...
Can you mention any names?
Maybe I will going forward. But they're not that good, right? So I think then that makes me think that they've not been employed because they're good. They've been employed because of the colour of the skin. Mm-hmm. And it's not right. And it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, but why is it making you feel uncomfortable?
It makes me feel uncomfortable because...
Bugging is the word.
Right, bugging. It makes me feel uncomfortable because of those people who... say are white, who now find themselves in a situation where they were once in a particular job and now that job's gone to somebody of colour. Mm-hmm. And it's gone to somebody of colour who's not necessarily better than that other person, the white person, mm-hmm. who they've now took the job from. It's because of the colour. That's what bugs me. That's what makes me feel uneasy about it.
But is it because we've given it the name woke? Because in my opinion, we've always kind of had that to a degree, haven't we? We've I say always, it's become more and more apparent, because you're right, because they're employing more and more black, Asians, yellow skin, whatever it may be, because they're employing more. But then surely that they're employing more because as a nation, as a culture, as a creed, we are growing that way. So there's more black people around, there's more Asian people, so brown skin,
right.
And there's more other cultures and creeds that are now able to have the opportunities. This is just me just kind of voicing my opinion, the opportunities to be able to get those jobs, good or bad. But surely we've had bad people in those jobs before, or not very good people in those jobs before, that haven't come up to a particular standard, no matter what they were originally. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. It does.
But it's just because we've now got this word woke that we're focusing on that word as something that, which is the bit that's maybe, I don't know, maybe the bit that's upsetting you, annoying you, bugging you. But the way I look at it, we've always kind of had that.
To a degree. I was brought up in the 70s, D, right? Where you'd be hard pushed to see a black face on anything.
Yeah,
right?
Ditto.
Right? So I'm not saying that it's not a bad thing. I'm saying in the examples that I've given, like on a sports programme or somebody presenting something, I'm looking at that person who's presenting that particular thing or talking about football or whatever the situation is, and I'm thinking, you're not that good. You're not better than the person that we all know that you've took that job from. You're not that good. So that's the point. I'm with you in terms of we're growing as a society and we're becoming more multicultural. I'm with you on that. I'm focusing on this woke thing, on people who've got positions who aren't that good at it and have taken the position of somebody else who has been all right. That's the bugbear that I've got. And so put it on a higher level then. If I can see it, I'm sure there's a lot more people who can see it. And as a result of a lot more people who can see it, a lot more people are going to get irritated. A lot more people are going to get angry, frustrated. And then all of a sudden you're finding, you know, conflicts in different situations.
Yeah. I totally understand that.
So for me, it's a case of whoever's putting these policies and procedures in place, I would love to have a word with them and say, Luke,
just for the statistics.
yeah, are you doing this because you know it's for the right reasons,
Yeah.
or are you doing it because of a quote, or are you doing it for stats?
Yeah.
What's the reason? Because you know it seems to me that you're doing it for stats and quotas.
Yeah.
Because the people that you replace the other people with aren't that great in terms of what they're doing.
So what you're saying is it's not just the qualification that individual should have. It's also the ability, because we can all, most of us, be qualified for anything we really want to do.
Right.
But it's having the ability to do the job.
Right. That's the thing.
Because you can be qualified to be manager, you can be qualified to be a secretary, you can be qualified to be
an accountant.
Yeah, whatever it may be. But do you have the ability?
That's the thing. That's the thing.
And if you're put in that job just because, one, you've got the qualification, great. But if you haven't got the ability, and the way I'm looking at it is, if you haven't got the ability, whether you're white, black, pink, green, or purple, you just come from Mars, whatever. If you haven't got the ability, then you shouldn't be in that job. But I know what you're saying. They are putting those people that are green, from Mars, whatever, in that particular role.
Yeah.
When it shouldn't be.
No.
But like I said, I think it's kind of always been like that. So
when you say it's always been like that, what do you mean by that? Because I don't see what you see when you say it's always been like that.
That's my belief. It's always been because if you've always been chosen for a job,
right?
And I'm in that job I'm going to take my father as an example. Okay. So he came from Jamaica. He came from Jamaica in the 50s.
Right.
Because they were told the pavements are full of gold in England.
Right.
And you're going to help build the economy after the war.
Right.
You are part of the British Empire.
Right.
Because you're part of the Commonwealth.
Right.
And you are going to help us rebuild. And of course, Jamaicans were flooding in.
And Barbadians.
Yeah.
And whoever.
Also, West Indians. All flooding in.
Right.
Because they wanted to be. They loved the Queen. They loved the Queen, and they wanted to be part of that rebuild.
Right.
To support the country.
Yeah.
What believed that was part of their country. So he got quite a few jobs. But the one job that he kind of stuck at for years, and back in those days, you were in a job for years.
Yeah.
You got the gold watch and all
Right.
the rest of it after 25 years and stuff. Whereas now that just
What can you do with a gold watch when you're retired?
It wasn't even real gold, was it?
But anyway.
But by the by. So he was on the shop floor,
Right.
working for a Goodyear. I can say Goodyear. It's a tyre factory.
Yeah.
Back in the day, he was on the shop floor, and he had a supervisor
Right.
that was coming in later than he was, and most of the other workers, white, black, or whatever.
Right.
And he had a supervisor that had a tipple at work constantly,
Right.
because that's the only way he could operate. He had a supervisor that used to get the rotors wrong and all. So he had a supervisor that just wasn't capable of supervising.
Right.
And my dad's thinking, well, I can do that job.
Right.
So he went to the boss man and said, listen, I can do that job better than.
Right.
This is the production I can give to ensure that we get X amount of tyres out per day, per week, per month, per year.
Right.
I can up that. I know I can.
Yeah.
And the boss said, who do you think you are?
Right.
Who do you think you are? Coming here telling me that what you can do, what you can't do. So you're saying, oh, Bob there, that's been there for his 26 years, he can't do the job. Well, no, he can't. Well, maybe you need to go.
Right.
So that was so that's the point I'm trying to make is
good point.
The fact that someone that couldn't do the job properly and someone that believed that they could may have been of a different skin colour, and then back in those days I know it was a little bit more difficult.
Right.
Whereas now what you're saying is the kind of reverse.
Right.
If my dad was useless, and then you had the guy in my dad's place, my dad would still get that job. But then that guy was white, and he was useless.
Right. Yeah.
And the only reason why he was there is because he'd been there for such a long time. Maybe they felt sorry for him. I don't know. I don't know. But it's kind of reversal of what you're kind of saying, which is why I think the way I'm thinking is it doesn't really matter what colour you are. So you shouldn't let it bug you. That's what I'm saying, because it wouldn't bug me. And I can give you another example.
All right, before you give me that example then. So when you're sat watching whatever, sport, whatever you're watching, and you know that person who's in that job now is taking a job from someone else, right? But they're not as good as that someone else. And you know that's down to this quota. Right? How does that make you feel then?
It's not that person's fault though, is it? It's the fault of the system.
It's the fault of the system, but at the same time, but at the same time, right, interesting, but at the same time, if you know that you're not good enough for that particular job, and someone's saying, Luke D, put in for this, 190 grand a year and all that, right, and you know that you're not good enough to take that other person's place, you still go for it. And you know you're not good enough. So it comes down to morals then, doesn't it?
It does.
And your own personal, way of being and stuff, doesn't it?
Here's a funny story.
Go on then.
I asked myself the exact same question. Whether it's this morning or yesterday, I don't know, it just came out of the blue. And I'm going to mention names. Yes, I am. So the last, was it the Euros or World Cup? What we have? What did we just?
World Cup, wasn't it?
Was it World Cup we just come from?
I think so.
I can't remember.
No, Euros.
Euros.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had this conversation myself. I say whether it was this morning or last. It was very, very it wasn't that long ago. And the conversation with myself was, Harry Kane. Harry, why? Because you weren't fit. You did not look fit.
Right.
And you were doing everything that was wrong. It wasn't helping the team.
Right.
Yeah, you may have scored a goal, but that's what you do. But the fact is, you stayed on the pitch. And I'm thinking, you shouldn't have done. Surely you should have held your hand up and said, I'm not good enough at the moment.
Right.
There's something wrong with me. I'm not able to support the team as best as I should have done.
So why do you think he didn't do that then?
Because, one, he's captain of England. Two, this is a World Cup. Three, what have I won in my life? And people are always constantly going, I've not won anything, I've not won anything, I've not won anything. That's why I went to Bayern Munich to win. Still didn't win anything. And I'm thinking in my head, you had Ivan Toney there. You had Watkins there. You had Bowen there from West Ham, of course. You had so many other forwards that could have taken that place.
Right.
And when they did come on, those guys made a difference.
Right.
And I'm thinking, Harry, you should have went to the manager and said, as much as the manager knows you can score a goal just like that, but you weren't helping the other 10 players on that pitch. So in my eyes, I'm just thinking, he should have held his hand up and said, I'm not good enough at the moment. But ego...
I was just going to mention that word, I'm glad you mentioned it.
But ego kicks into all of us.
Right.
And when you're constantly told you haven't won nothing and you want to be there to win the World Cup, of course you don't want to leave the park.
Or if you put it into a job role, if you're told that, yeah, you can do this job, even though you don't believe you can, but you're being told that you can,
Ego.
you're going to do it, aren't you?
Because of your ego.
Right. So what about dropping your ego and saying to yourself, nah, I'm not good enough for this job. I'm not doing myself down, but I don't think I'm good enough for this job. You might turn and say, well, they'll just get somebody else to fill that role. And that's where it's wrong, D. Because they'll just get somebody else to fill that role.
That side of it, 100% correct. But if the establishment, God bless them, if the establishment are choosing to go down that woke line,
right,
I can't let that bug me, because that's their thing. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. I can't change. I'm not going to be able to change it. So what I'm saying is, I will just let it be. I'll think about it and I'll go, yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong. But there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm not.
All right, but when it impacts you personally, that's when it'll start bugging you.
Probably.
Do you know what I mean? When you have to go and buy something, and the person that you're buying it from, you know they're not competent in dealing with you, and it's taking you ages to get this transaction done, where you know that back in the day you'd have got that done just like that, but this person's in this position wrongly, and now it's causing you a problem. Because this seems to be happening, D, you know, in this country.
I can easily walk away from it though, can't I?
You can. That's you though.
I have a choice.
It's not the masses though, is it? That's you.
You have a choice. Walk away. If
Right.
it's bugging you, we'll just walk away.
Yeah.
And I've done that. I've
Right.
done that many times.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I'm done with it. I personally say, to hell with woke and all it stands for.
I agree with you, but don't let it bug you.
Don't take it as a personal blow, as we said on the
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my feeling around it.
Yeah, we've all got to have those feelings. Because it is a strange world. It's a topsy-turvy world. And you can either go one way or the other with it. And no matter which way you kind of go, a lot of the time you just cannot bank on what those in authority are going to do. So you just have to go, okay, that's what you feel, fine, but it's not what I feel. And if you don't like what you don't like, switch it off.
It's not about switching off because I don't watch television, D. It's about where you go. Yeah, all right, fair enough. But it's about where you go.
Yeah.
Where you go and shop. Where do you go and, you know, whatever you do in terms of getting that exchange. And there's a person in that particular job and you're thinking, you know what I mean? Yeah, you can turn and say, don't let it get to you. But at the same time, you can still acknowledge it that it's not right.
If it's a job I'm after, well then yeah, it's going to rile me up.
That's the point I'm trying to make. That is the point I'm trying to make.
It will rile me up.
Right. Not that I'm going for any job or anything like that. No.
I was going to say you're aspiring to get a sports presenter's job.
Nah, not at all.
I know one that's come vacant.
Yeah, we all do, don't we? Yeah, say no more. But yeah, if that situation happens, then you're like, wow, that's not right.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
Which is just my opinion. Hopefully to get your opinion as well, and everybody else's opinion. Anyway, that's it from me. You need to say a few words.
Yeah, as always. Please, folks, what we're trying to do is empower ourselves, and portraying that to you, to be able to empower you to be the better version of you, basically. So it's going to help us to get the words that we speak on a regular basis, out to as many people as possible. And if you can help us by liking, sharing, subscribing to the channel, and share it to as many of your friends as you possibly can, we would be much appreciated.
But I don't.
Thank you so much for listening and watching.
And it's bye from me.
And bye from me.